The history of India, written during the colonial era, begins with the Indus Valley civilization. When the civilization declined, Aryans had invaded or migrated to India, who wrote the Vedas. In fact, we do not have any chronological history before 500 BCE. That's what modern historians and archaeologists record. But the advanced research based on archaeological, archaeoastronomical and literary evidence suggests otherwise. India's history is continuous since the beginnings of Holocene, and we Indians proudly call our history as Itihasa. The word Itihasa splits as Iti, Ha, Asa and means thus verily happened. Vedic, post-Vedic, Itihasa and Purana texts record history just in a form that is different than what is now considered to be the norm. Today the definition of history is that which was introduced into India by the colonial historians who just doubted our antiquity without evidence. Much prior to that, the Rishis recorded chronological and genealogical history so that future generations could benefit from its learnings. Let us scientifically explore our chronological antiquity. It may be difficult to say when humans settled down in the Indian peninsula, but the catastrophic eruption of Toba volcano of Sumatra, Indonesia, had wiped out the humanity, flora and fauna of India 75,000 years ago. Toba's erupted mass deposited an ash layer of about 15 centimeters thick over the whole of India. Archaeological site of Jwalapuram in Kurnool district has evidence of human habitation before and after the event of Toba eruption. Possibly only a few people living in the hills of Kashmir and Hindu Kush range might have survived. Gradually, northwestern and North India became habitable. Thus, Sapta Sindhu region and Saraswati river became the cradle of Vedic civilization. The archaeological findings of early agriculture on the banks of Lahuradeva Lake in eastern UP have been carbon dated from 13,000 BCE to 7,300 BCE. This sunken ancient city of Gulf of Cambay was indeed the city of Dwaravati, which was built by Vishwakarma around 11,100 BCE, and it was submerged by the sea around 9,400 to 9,300 BCE at the end of Meltwater Pulse 1b around 10,200 to 9,400 BCE. A piece of carbonized wooden sample of this Dwaravati city has been dated around 7,500 BCE. A submerged structure of the ancient Pumpuhar city in Tamil Nadu has been dated around 9,500 BCE. The archaeological site of Bhirana in Hisar has also been dated 7,570 BCE. Mehergarh farming sites near Bolan Pass, Pakistan are dated 7,000 BCE. The famous Rakhi Garhi site of Haryana is dated 6,500 BCE. Based on the archaeoastronomical evidence, Brahma can be dated in 14,500 BCE because he introduced a 5-year Yuga calendar when summer solstice used to occur in Dhanishta Nakshatra around 14,500 BCE. After 1,000 years, Vishwamitra observed the summer solstice at Shravana Nakshatra around 13,500 BCE as mentioned in the Mahabharata. This phenomena is called precession of equinoxes. The gradual shift in the orientation of Earth's axis of rotation in a cycle of approximately 26,000 years. Earth's precession is called the precession of the equinoxes because the equinoxes moved westward along the ecliptic relative to the fixed stars opposite to the yearly motion of the sun along the ecliptic. Thus, the equinox or solstice shifts one nakshatra 13.2 degrees westward in 960 years. Numerous references found in post-Vedic literature indicate the shifting of winter solstice from Mrigashira to Rohini. The Vedic legend of Prajapati Daksha and his 27 daughters clearly indicates the Mrigashiradi list of 28 nakshatras, which also coincides with the beginning of Vaivaswata Manvantara around 11,200 BCE. The winter solstice was at Mrigashira Nakshatra around 11,200 to 10,200 BCE, and the same was at Rohini Nakshatra around 10,200 to 9,200 BCE. The winter solstice was at Kritika Nakshatra around 9,200 to 8,200 BCE, and the list of nakshatras had been reset starting from Kritika Nakshatra. Most of the Brahmanas and Aranyakas were finally compiled when the winter solstice was at Kritika Nakshatra. The list of nakshatras was again reset starting from Ashwini Nakshatra when the winter solstice had shifted to Ashwini Nakshatra around 7,200 BCE. Taittiriya Brahmana indicates that Devas and Asuras were in a major conflict when Abhijit, Vega, was a pole star around 12,000 to 11,300 BCE, and it refers to the star Kashyapa, that is, Gamma Draconis of the Sisumara constellation, which was its celestial pole starting from 11,000 BCE. It was still a pole star around 8,800 to 8,700 BCE. Tamil Sangam literature informs us that Rishi Agastya convened the first Sangam around 11,250 BCE. Star Canopus became visible around 11,000 to 10,000 BCE to the people living in Kanyakumari, who named the star after Agastya. Kashmir Valley was a glacial lake known as Satisar during the Rigvedic period. This glacial lake was formed during the period of meltwater pulse 1A around 12,700 to 11,500 BCE. The closed Varahamula Baramula Pass was holding the melted waters of glaciers. Nilamata Purana relates that Kashmir Valley was a big lake and it became habitable in Vaivaswata Manvantara. Around 11,200 BCE, incessant rainy weather following a massive earthquake caused by an asteroid hit on Earth might have opened up Baramula Pass, and the water of Satisar had flown out of Kashmir Valley, which had caused the Great Flood in Madra, Sindh and Gujarat areas. This devastating flood occurred during the reign of Vaivaswata Manu. Vedic Saraswati river had originated at a Plaksha Prasravana near Badrinath and flowed up to Pritudaka or Pehova in Haryana. Thereafter, Vedic Saraswati took a southwestern course from the Kurukshetra region and flowed from Hisar, Sambhar Lake, Pushkar and Jodhpur to Great Run of Kutch. Due to the massive earthquake in 11,200 BCE, Saraswati changed course and started flowing westwards from Kurukshetra, Sirsa to Kalibanga and Anupgarh. Sutlej, Yamuna and Drishadvati were the main tributaries of Saraswati. Sutlej changed course around 14,500 to 13,000 BCE. IIT Kanpur has dated the paleo channel of Sutlej River in 13,000 BCE based on the OSL method. Yamuna and Drishadvati continued to be the tributaries of Saraswati. Yamuna had two channels in the Vedic period. One Yamuna channel flowed westwards and merged with Saraswati, whereas another channel flowed eastwards and merged with Ganga river at Prayaga. Seemingly why one paleo channel of Yamuna, a tributary of Saraswati, had changed the course around 11,200 BCE. It appears that the Avabhrata ritual of Saraswati Shatra in Yamuna might have been introduced to commemorate the past confluence of Saraswati and Yamuna. According to oceanographic studies, sea level suddenly rose 28 meters in 500 years, about 10,000 to 9,500 years ago. This accelerated sea level of 10,000 to 9,500 BCE has been named Meltwater Pulse 1B. Most probably Dwaravati city in Gulf of Cambay was flooded by the sea around 9,400 to 9,300 BCE at the end of Meltwater Pulse 1B. Seemingly it took at least 1,500 years to completely submerge the area of Dwaravati city. Thus, the piece of wood found in the area of the sunken city in the Gulf of Khambat was submerged around 8000 to 7500 BCE. Mayasura wrote Surya Siddhanta at the end of the Krita Yuga when sun, moon and all 5 planets were in great conjunction in Aries on the date of Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. Computer simulations conclusively established the date of Surya Siddhanta on 22nd February 6778 BCE, Sunday, which would be the sheet anchor of our Yuga chronology. A Yuga had only 5 years in the Vedic era, but the duration of a Yuga and Chatur Yuga were increased from 5 to 1200 years and from 20 to 4800 years in 6777 BC. Later, the duration of a Chatur Yuga was again increased to 12,000 years, considering the differential duration of 4 Yugas. Ancient Indian astronomers further extended the duration of a Chatur Yuga from 12,000 years to 43,20,000 years, 12,000 times 360, to achieve accurate calendrical calculations. The updaters of Puranas had erroneously deemed the increased calendrical duration of Chatur Yugas as a given fact and narrated the chronological history of ancient India. In fact, the duration of a Yuga was only 5 years before 6777 BCE, and the epoch of the early Vedic Yuga calendar might have commenced around 15,962 BCE. In fact, the Jovian cycle of 12 years, the 60-year cycle, the Yuga of 1,200 years, the Saptarshi cycle of 2,700 years were introduced in 6,777 BCE. Thus, we can fix the period of Treta Yuga around 6,777 to 5,577 BCE and the period of Dwapara Yuga around 5,577 to 3,177 BCE. It is traditionally recorded that Rama was born in the last century of Treta Yuga. Thus, Sri Rama was born on 3rd February 5674 BCE in Punarvasu Nakshatra when Saturn was on exaltation. In Ramayana, Lakshmana describes the position of a comet and a planet in Mula Nakshatra when the Vanara army was ready to march towards Lanka. This astronomical observation is verifiable. Venus was in Mula constellation around 22nd August to 3rd September 5635 BCE, and the Halley's comet had also entered Mula Nakshatra on 23rd August 5635 BCE. The apparent magnitude of 1P Halley was 2.14 on 23rd August 5635 BCE. It was visible to the naked eye after sunset between 23rd August and 23rd September 5635 BCE, and it gradually faded away. According to the studies of post-glacial sea level rise, Sri Lanka had been connected with India through land route at least up to 6200 BCE. The last pulse, meltwater pulse 1C, took place around 6200 to 5600 BCE, which produced a rise of 6.5 meters in less than 140 years. Evidently, the area of Ramasetu was submerged by sea during MWP 1C. Nala might have raised the ground level maximum up to 2 meters to construct Ramasetu. The sea level of some places between Dhanushkodi and Talaimannar must be at least 14 meters below the current level. Thus, the Ramayana era can be dated around 5677 to 5577 BCE. The Aihole inscription conclusively establishes the date of Mahabharata war in the year 3162 BCE. In fact, the complex problems in Indian chronology arise from a misunderstanding of the epochs of ancient Indian eras. The Kurtakoti copper plate dated Saka 530 refers to a total solar eclipse that occurred on 9th May 53 BCE in Karnataka, which conclusively establishes that the Saka era commenced in 583 BCE, whereas the Sakanta era commenced in 78 CE. Historians mistakenly mixed up these two epochs, which led to a chronological error of 660 years. Out of 2 contemporary copper plates found at Pranaveshwara temple, Talagonda. One plate is dated in the Saka era, whereas another is dated in the Sakanta era. Apart from this era of 660 years, later Jain historians inadvertently identified Ujjain king Chandragupta, a disciple of Bhadrabahu, with the Maurya king Chandragupta, which made Mahavira a contemporary of Buddha. In reality, Buddha attained Nirvana 675 years before the year of Mahavira Nirvana. Puranas and the Burmese inscriptions clearly indicate that Buddha attained Nirvana in 1864 BCE. Recent excavations at Lumbini and the radiocarbon samples collected from the trench C5 at the center of the Buddhist shrine at Lumbini indicate an earliest date of 1681 BCE. Thus, there is a chronological error of 1380 years in dating of Buddha Nirvana due to mixing up of two different epochs of Saka and Sakanta eras, and the mistaken identification of Chandragupta, the disciple of Bhadrabahu. The dating of Buddha Nirvana in 1864 BCE also validates the traditional date of Adi Shankaracharya in the 6th century BCE. This entire research work of Vedveer Arya has been presented in two books: The Chronology of India from Manu to Mahabharata and The Chronology of India from Mahabharata to Medieval Era. Since the change in date of Buddha Nirvana affects the entire world chronology, the sheet anchors of Western chronology have been discussed in the third book titled The Origin of the Christian Era, Fact or Fiction. In fact, the European Christian scholars blindly assumed the epoch of 1 AD as the birth of Jesus Christ without presenting any independently verifiable evidence. Therefore, this book argues that the epoch of the Christian era does not deserve to be the sheet anchor of world chronology. There is genuine need to fix the Western chronology up to Augustus without referring to the epoch of the Christian era. The Venus tablet found in Babylon offers independently verifiable astronomical evidence, but unfortunately, the world historians miserably failed to fix the exact date of the Venus tablet. The present research work formally claims that the riddle of dating Venus tablet has been successfully solved. That remained unresolved since the last 150 years. Thus, the research work presented in three books provides a complete solution, not only for the chronological problems of India, but also that of world history. In reality, the internal archaeo-astronomical data of ancient Indian literature and marine archaeological site of Dwaravati in the Gulf of Cambay conclusively indicates that India has a continuous chronological history since the last 16,500 years, starting from the time of Rishi Brahma and his son Swayambhuva Manu. Ancient Indian historical tradition painstakingly preserved the genealogical chronology, but the increased yuga durations in the Indian calendar led to the loss of true chronology. This research scientifically re-establishes the chronology of India, considering the epoch of Mayasura's Surya Siddhanta and Krita Yuganta in 6778 BCE as a sheet anchor. Amazingly, our motherland is not only the most ancient, continuous civilization that had its origin in 14,500 BCE, but also a cradle of human civilization. Let us reclaim our glorious past, because a nation that gets delinked from history cannot create history.